You know, that introduction, I was kind of falling asleep, but by far that introduction was the most recent. And I'm here this morning to give a talk. I usually give a seminar on building codes and permits, 4 hours and 8 hours, but I concised it down to 15 minutes, so I'll talk really fast. So if you don't understand, let me know. Now, before I get started, I want to talk about the rail. How many of you folks think the rail is too expensive? Show of hands. Okay, you know what? I'm for the rail. I'm for it to be in San Diego. I was going through Pro City, driving, and alongside the rail, and something magic would happen. You know what it was? Oh, my wallet felt lighter. Okay, let's talk about building code. What's a building code? Well, a building code is a set of rules that specify minimum standards for construction buildings. Now, the words are minimum standards. So when a contractor says, I built it to code, what does that mean? It means that he didn't maybe use high quality materials. It's minimum. Okay, so keep that in mind. By the way, I got that definition from Wikipedia. I didn't make it up. So it's real. Oh, you know what? Everybody got handouts? I didn't get one. Is there extra?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, sorry. I forgot. Okay, thank you. Okay, so on your handout, if you go to that page, do you need a building permit? Okay, everybody got a handout? If not, I'll sell you mine. Okay. All right, 2 key items. Do you need a building permit? All right, if you look at, I think it's the next page. Okay, left side. If it says building permits are required for, there's a number 2 and a number 3. Okay, so keep this in mind, realtors and everybody else. You need an electrical permit, a plumbing permit. Actually, let's go to number 1. Building permits are required for to erect, construct, alter, remove, or demolish any building or structure. Okay, what does that mean, folks? Basically, it means you need a building permit for almost everything. Okay, now the next question is, what about electrical plumbing? Well, if you look at number 2, electrical work over $500 requires a permit. Plumbing work over $1,000 requires a permit, and you need the work done by a licensed electrical contractor and a plumbing contractor. So what does that mean? You're selling houses, you're listing houses, you're representing a buyer, and there's work done, plumbing, electrical. The question you ask is, was there a permit? If there was a permit, was a licensed contractor used to do the work? Now, this applies to condominium units as well as single-family houses. Okay, everybody got that? So basically, you know that there's a lot of hanky-panky going around with no permits. I'll show you some war stories later. So, can you imagine all these facilities, condominium buildings, hospitals, golf courses, office buildings, schools, shopping centers, do they get permits? No, not really. Do they have the work done by licensed contractors? Yeah. No. A lot of them have in-house people. Is that a violation of the building code and the Contractors Licensing Board? Yes, it is. But does anybody do anything about it? No, because they don't care. They're saving money. So unless somebody complains, then there's action taken. Okay, now, let's say that you have a listing in Kane'ohe, and it's a single-family house built in the 70s. There was a nice patio in the back, and that's all permitted. You go to take the listing, and you go on a tour, and you look in the back, and oh, there's a roof over the patio. Oh, the seller decided to enclose it because he needed more square footage. Now the seller decides he needs a bathroom, so he puts a bathroom in. You get a building permit package, and you look, and it only says patio. What does that mean? All the rest of that improvements is illegal. Guess what? When you have an appraisal done, they're going to count it as 0. They're not going to count it as a third bathroom. It's no value for appraisal purposes. Now, what happens if the buyer says, well, I want the seller to get a permit? Can the seller get a permit? Yeah, he can try. Will he get one? We don't know, because it depends if those improvements were built to code at the time. Actually, that's not true. It depends if the improvements were built to code today. So, for example, the house was built in 1960. They added the additional improvements which were illegal in 1960. Can they get a building permit based on the 1960 building code? No, they got to conform to the 2016 building code. Okay, and when you try to get after the fact permit, guess what? You got to hire an architect to go and draw plans, and then you have the plans done, and you may say, oh, there's not enough outlets here, you need outlets every 6 feet, you need another window here, poor ventilation, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, it's going to cost $20,000 to get it up to par. Okay, so you sign the application to get the building permit. How are you going to get the contractor to sign? The contractor's not going to say, okay, I'll sign it. You know what's going on in the industry today? Contractors are asking $5,000 to $10,000 just to sign on a permit application for nothing, for doing no work. You know why? Because once they sign off, then they're accepting the liability of that improvement as if they built it. So that's going on today. I work with contractors all the time. So it may not be really easy to get an after-the-fact permit. Building codes. Everybody familiar with the Hammurabi's Code of Laws? Hammurabi's, okay, 229. If a builder has built a house for a man, he's not made his work sound, and the house he built has fallen and caused the death of its owner, that builder shall be put to death. If we use that law today, guess what? There'll be a lot of dead builders and contractors, right? Okay, let's talk about your purchase contract. There's a clause, J1, right, that requires a home inspection. That's very important, because after you do the inspection, what if the inspector says, oh, you know what? Doesn't look like the roof's put on correctly because they made this addition. Red flag. Okay, so building permit packages are very important. Seller disclosure statement. You guys know how to read that? Do you fill it out for your buyers? Do you fill it out for your sellers? Are you familiar with section 65 improvements, where any improvements, additions, structural modifications, or alterations built without building permits? And you look at the disclosure statement and it says, not to my knowledge. And the seller's been living there for 30 years. Is that a red flag? Well, if the seller has amnesia or whatever, he may not know, right? But sometimes I've reviewed probably within the past 2 years over 2,000 seller disclosure statements. And when I do home inspections, guess what? When I compare my inspection to the disclosure's all incorrect. I've been on legal cases where it involves seller disclosure, buyers suing the seller for improper disclosure. And some of them are hairy because they end up suing both real estate agents, representing buyers and sellers. I can't tell you the cases because confidential. Okay, moving along. There's some good stuff. How many codes, building codes are there? Anybody? Building codes?
1 million.
You must play Pokemon Go.
No.
When I asked this question 20 years ago to a real estate group, they said there's one building code. And people think a building code is a building code, right? But guess what? There's IBC, International Building Code, there's a RRC, International Residential Code, there's a City and County Honolulu Housing Code, there's a Uniform Plumbing Code, there's a Mechanical Code, there's a code for this, a code for that, a code for almost everything, right? And then, in addition to that, there's a LUO, Land Use Ordinance. You guys familiar with that? I'm working on a case right now, which I'll tell you about a little later. It's pretty interesting. It involves a rock wall. Okay, let's see. Okay, existing buildings versus new construction. Let's say you go take a listing or you represent a buyer. You go to a house and it has a garage, but when the house was built, it never had a garage door. And all of a sudden, the guy wanted privacy, so he put a garage door in. Okay? Do you know if permits needed to put a garage door in? Anybody? Okay, a permit is needed because when the house is built, it had a garage. It did not have an enclosed garage. Once you enclose a garage, now you got to conform to the fire code, which is a firewall between the garage and the house, and you need a fire-rated door for that. Self-closing mechanism, solid core. You cannot have a pet door or windows. So a lot of people, they want to put a garage door in for privacy, but it violates the building code, also for safety issues. Overloaded electrical circuits, termite issues, and so forth. So when you're out there selling real estate, keep in mind these items. Now, when you're remodeling an existing building, let's say you're taking a listing and you ask the seller, have you done anything to this house since the time you bought it? And if he's an original seller, that's very important. If he's not an original seller, did he have a home inspection done? Did he have any other work done? You want to see the invoices and all that. I've seen so many disclosure statements where they put down roof was fixed in 2014. Oh, well, that's great. Who did the work? The owner. Is there a warranty? Yeah, the owner's giving a warranty. Oh, okay. So I tell the agent, you know what? Call the roofing manufacturer and see if they give a warranty on their roofing shingles. And the agent called back and said, yeah, they said to give a warranty on the shingles, only on the shingles. But the guy who did the work is an unlicensed contractor, and he's not qualified. He's not certified by the specific roofing manufacturer to install shingles, so therefore no warranty. So guess what? There's no warranty. So did the seller lie in his disclosure statement? Maybe, maybe not. Depends on his mindset. Okay? Oh, did I forget to ask you guys if you have any questions to let me know? All right. Let's talk about contractor licensing. If you look on the last pages of your handout, okay, the reason why this is important is because there have been a lot of violations of aiding and abetting. Did you know if a realtor sells a house and work was done by an unlicensed contractor, that realtor is aiding and abetting? Because you're licensed as realtors? Yeah, it's true. And the fine is like very hefty. Okay, so question here. There was heavy rains, and these contractors are going out knocking on doors saying, we can do your roof, and you know, he has some cash, we'll come in there and get it done for cheap. Okay, what's the first question you would ask?
Are you licensed?
Yes. And the contractor says, I do have a license. Here it is, Bill. And Bill looks at it and he goes, State of California. Is that license good in Hawaii? No, it's not. There's no reciprocity. So the guy could be licensed in New York or anywhere in the United States. He cannot come to Hawaii and do work. He has to have a Hawaii contractor's license. Okay? Now, if the contractor is doing asphalt shingle work and he goes, I have a general contractor's license. I can do any kind of construction work. Okay, so Sue says, I want to see your license. And the guy says, here's my license. And you look at it, and he does have a general contractor's license. It's a B license. Is he legal to do roofing work under his contractor's license? Depends what kind of roofing. Great. What kind of roofing is a general contractor allowed to do? Who said that? You're half right. You know why? The general contractor under a B license can do wood, shake, shingles, metal roofing. He cannot do asphalt shingle roofing. What license do you need to do asphalt shingles? A C42, a C is specialty. See, so you got to know this stuff because it could come back. Now, Oh, I was on a roofing job